I am doing my history in my backyard project on my grandparents in the Korean War. This is a picture of my grandma and grandpa sitting together at a restaurant in Heilbronn, Germany, where my grandpa was stationed. Here is a picture of the average sized town of Heilbronn, Germany. My grandpa was stationed in the back right corner of this picture, where there was a bunch of tents and stuff for the military, while my grandma stayed on the top right part of the picture in a building over in this region. Here's a picture of my grandpa, better known as Sergeant Glenn Davis, around his camp. Grandpa spent most of his time in the war, training and in his tent. He stayed in this tent with about 12 other men, and they all took turns at night staying up just in case an attack was to happen, or something like that. My grandpa once told me, "You don't know a real friend until you spend a year with them in a tent with bugs carrying diseases, hearing gunshots at night, and staying up just to make sure that they are safe." Here was another place my grandpa took a few visits to every once in a while. He said it wasn't a very pleasant place to be by. He would go to the house at the top probably once a week to get some water for him and the guys in his tent. Every now and then, he said he would hear a yell or something from one of the war prisoners in that dungeon. The dungeon walls are 20 feet thick, so some bombings that are close to it don't even budge it. And there's also a moat located at the bottom of the dungeon. What my grandpa was doing when he was not in the tent, or getting water, or doing something for the lieutenants, he was doing this training. They did a lot of training at this base because they weren't exactly in the heat of the war where they were located, so they did a lot of training just in case they were called for assistance. While my grandpa was doing something military related, like training or in his tent or something, this is where my grandma and their housekeeper, Mary Ellen, stayed. On the left is Mary Ellen, in the middle is my grandfather, and on the far right is my grandmother. This is a picture of all of them at a train station that they came in on that was bombed about a week after. During Thanksgiving in the streets of Heilbronn, military had their own float in it just in case things got out of hand. In the town, they always stayed on the safe side. My grandpa was sent to Germany in early 1952, then was later released in early 1953. Later he found out that the Americans had won the Korean War. He was done with his term in the military, so he decided to go back to college with my grandma. My grandparents both went to Oakland, while my grandma graduated with a teaching degree, and my grandpa with a degree in dentistry. My grandpa worked for a little as a dental assistant before he got sick of that job and became a marble setter as his last job before he retired. My grandma was a teacher for the rest of her career.